This is the Personal Branding Masterclass, and over the course of this video, I'm going to transform how you think about building your personal brand. This isn't about becoming an influencer or chasing vanity metrics. This is about building a real asset that compounds over time and builds strategic business value for you. By the end of this video, you're going to have a clear roadmap on how to build authority, grow your audience, and turn your expertise into a thriving business. So let's start with the fundamental question. Why does personal branding matter now more than ever? The answer lies in a massive shift that's happening on how people make decisions. We're moving from an era where people trusted the institutions and companies to trusting individual people. So let's just get straight into it. I went from being a carpenter to running an incredibly successful e-commerce brand for a period of time to now using that experience that I learned from the e-commerce, from the content, to helping others grow their personal brands whilst also doing it myself. And it's something that I'm hugely passionate about, and I think it is the biggest, most untapped opportunity. It's something that I wish I started even earlier when I was still running the business. So for me, it's about playing catch up and trying to make up on those lost years where I wasn't actively trying to build my personal brand. And for you, it should be about starting as soon as possible, because the best time to start is right now, and it's only going to get more and more important. So if we think about why a personal brand is so important right now, number one is trust, number two is reach, and number three is leads. So 92% of consumers trust individuals over brands. And this is from many different reports that you can find online. The reach perspective, personal brands get way more reach than companies do. Again, people trust people more than they trust companies. They want to interact with people. They don't want to interact with the brands. And probably upwards of 70% of millennials prefer to buy from people that they follow on social media. We all have people that we trust and we like, even though we've never actually met them. And from a leads perspective, it's much easier to generate more leads from a personal brand compared to a company page. And we'll get into all the hows and whys down the track in this kind of video presentation. So if you think about the core concepts, number one is the trust revolution. People trust people more than companies. Attention is the number one currency that anyone is dealing in. It's the number one thing that you need to be worried about moving forwards. And number three is personal brands create unfair advantages in businesses. If you have a really strong personal brand, it's your personal brand. No one can come and take your personal brand from you. They can't compete with it. So if you have a really strong personal brand and your competitor doesn't, you have an unfair advantage. Let's talk about the foundations to start with. Your purpose, perspective, and your proof. Your purpose is your why. It's the mission that drives you. So I've written a little framework here that I use, and I can show you how to do it as well. So the framework is, I exist to help target audience achieve specific outcome by unique method. For example, so if we think about myself, I exist to help business owners achieve sustainable personal brand growth by focusing on the fundamentals over hacks. What's the perspective that you have on your own experience and your own unique viewpoints or industry problems? That's the next thing we want to think about. So once we've got our purpose, we go, okay, what's my perspective? What makes me different? Or what are my learned experiences? What conventional wisdom do you challenge? What patterns do you see others miss? What experiences shaped your worldview? So I talk about my experiences. I talk about how I focus on the fundamentals over the hacks. So that's something that it's a conventional wisdom that I challenge. When people go for the hacks, you get so much information of people being like, do this hack, post at this time, use this app, use this trending sound. All that stuff is crap and it's hacks. And so for me, that's conventional wisdom that I challenge, because it's not going to hold the personal brand that you're trying to build. It's not going to hold it in good stead over a long period of time. And then the third thing is the proof. What credibility indicators do you support your claims? So for me, results that I've achieved, people that I've helped, the recognition that you've received, and the skills that you've developed. So think about these three things for yourself when you're deciding how you want to craft your personal brand. A little exercise that I'd like to get people to do and to write down is, what's your anti-position exercise? What does everyone in your industry believe that you think is wrong? So again, it's back to that conventional wisdom that you're challenging that makes you the expert. What popular strategy do you think is overrated? Again, for me, the hacks, I hate all that kind of stuff. I think it's a waste of time, and it's about getting cheap views and likes, which, we'll get into this as well a bit later, but not all views and likes are created equal. And then what best practice do you actively avoid? So these are all like anti-positioning exercises, because it gets you thinking about, okay, what is everyone else doing that makes me different that also makes me think I'm better, or like not in an arrogant way, but this is the proof that I have, this is the perspective I have, this is the learned experiences I have. So these are the first three things. What are the foundations of your brand? Next, we want to think about identity and messaging. So we're kind of moving through them pretty quickly, but they kind of all go hand in hand. So once you understand what the foundations of your brand are and what you want it to be like, next let's talk about the identity and messaging. So your story framework. What's your origin? What are the obstacles? What are the epiphanies you've had? What are the transformations? And what are your missions? These are all questions that you need to write down and ask yourself. Now, a really good exercise is to do this on a Google Doc, and then you can dump it into ChatGPT, and it will help you craft your personal brand and your avatar that you want to craft around yourself. Or you could just ask it to ask you all these questions, and you can go back and forth and build it out this way. Another thing to consider is, what tone of voice do you want? Do you want to be professional, casual, serious, playful, authoritative, conversational, formal, or personal? I will say with this one, you can be all of them at different times of day, seasons, topics, whatever it is. You don't need to be so black and white. You don't always need to be just professional and serious or authoritative. You can be conversational, you can be casual, you can be personal. That's what makes us all human, and that's what makes us personable. Like, we want to have a personal brand. It's about us. We don't want to be seen as these robots that just try and push information out to the world and act like experts. Not everyone will resonate with that, and not everyone will trust that, and people will see through it and they won't like it as much as you think they do. So speaking from experience, when I first started posting content from an ecom perspective, when I was talking about more about ecom focused things, I really did go down the professional, serious, authoritative, formal route, and it didn't work. Even though I had the knowledge, I had the experience, and I had the perspective and the proof, I had all of that, people didn't care, because you're not being personal. You're not being yourself. You're not having fun with it. You're not trying to resonate with people. You're not bringing the right energy. And so there is a time and a place for it. And by all means, you can swap and change. But these are all the tones of voice that you're probably going to sift through at certain times. But when you're starting out, pick a couple of them and just say, hey, I'm just going to try and be myself with this. This is what things I want to stick to. I'm not going to try and be something I'm not. So if you're really casual and personal and conversational, if you try to be serious and authoritative, maybe that's going to seem inauthentic for you. And that's not what we're trying to build. We're not trying to build inauthentic personal brands. The content pillars, this is also another really important thing as well. You probably only want 3 to start with. If you try and do all 5 of them at any given time, it's going to be really hard to stick to it, and it's going to be really overwhelming. So pick maybe 3. Do you want to be educational? Do you want to show behind the scenes of your processes? Do you want to do industry insights? Do you want to do personal stories? Or do you want to do contrarian takes? All of these work in their own certain right, but I wouldn't suggest you just do one of them. I think you need to pick a couple of them, spread it out, test what works, figure out what you like creating as well, and go from there. From a content strategy perspective, so this is something that comes up all the time, is what kind of content should I be posting? If you are starting out to build your personal brand, you have to put yourself in the mindset of, okay, no one knows who I am, no one cares what I have to say, so I need to just get myself in front of as many people as possible. So your growth style content, your content that is designed for reach and discovery, it should be heavily weighted in that. You should be seriously, maybe even more than 70%. I've written 70-30 just because some people like to put numbers on it, but it's almost 90-10, or it's almost 100% designed for reach and discovery to start with. Because say you have 100 followers, 1,000 followers, whatever it is, you're trying to get in front of more people. Now, you're not trying to just get in front of 100,000 people, because that content won't be designed for the right things, but you still need to put some element of, it can't be super niche that only 4 people in the world are going to want to watch it, because it will be highly unlikely that it will find its way to them to start with, and you'll get discouraged, and it'll create this negative feedback loop where you think, oh, it's not working, it's not for me. So it's a balancing act, right? You have to just find a happy medium where you can address the common problems and questions in a broad way. You can speak to trending topics. It's optimized for algorithm distribution, purely based on the fact that when you are starting out, as I said, if you post all this really valuable content but no one's watching it, it does create this negative feedback loop, and people get disheartened and they give up after a couple of months. I've seen it so many times. It's happened to me as well when you work on different things. So nurturing both your growth and your community are really important. And so you can do things from a community aspect. Once you do get some sort of traction, or you start to get a few followers, you get people messaging you, start to share a bit more of your personal stories. Start to do direct responses to audience questions. Build deeper relationships based on you wanting to nurturing those people, but also still never forgetting about the fact that you are posting on account that you are trying to grow. You're looking for growth. You're looking for discovery. And that's like the whole premise of you starting your personal brand. At some point, you may get to 2,000 followers, 5,000 followers, and you go, okay, that's enough. I've got 5,000 really high value people in my audience. I don't need to keep focusing so much on growth, and I'm just going to start nurturing them more. And maybe you switch the pendulum, the pendulum might swing back to 50-50 or 60-40 into community and nurturing those people, because they're way more valuable to you than you getting to 10,000 followers at a lower value. Those next 5,000, the 5,000 to 10,000 could be at a much lower value to you, and so it's not worth you chasing it. When we're thinking about building authority, so everyone wants to have authority, especially when they're building a personal brand. If they're not trying to be a content creator, they're actually trying to build an authoritative personal brand as a business owner, then you have to think about it in a sort of a pyramid. So number one is the foundation, and that's the consistent, valuable content that's going to get shown to a lot of people. Number two is the credibility. So we start to talk about social proof and results, either from your past experience or things that are happening right then and there. Number three is the recognition. You start to get media mentions, you start to get speaking opportunities. Number four, you start to post your own original insights and you start to use your own original frameworks. And number five is the industry influence. This is like the top level where you want to get to, is you start shaping conversations and trends in your industry. So for, I would say, pretty much every single person watching this, they're going to be at number one right now, just the foundation of posting consistent, valuable content. And that's what we want to focus on today. Two really good ways to get from level one to level two is the contrarian take strategy, or using your social proof integration. So if you're going to go down the route of doing these contrarian takes against other people by posting consistent, valuable content, you still need to choose your battles worth fighting. You don't want to just start fights online for the sake of it, or start arguing with people online, because that's not going to attract the right attention, and that's not going to build you an authoritative personal brand. You need to back up your contrarian views with evidence. You need to acknowledge the conventional wisdom before challenging it. Offer a better alternative, not just criticism. Stay consistent with your core values. So don't jump around from thing to thing, and don't jump around from trend to trend. Pick something, pick a lane, stick at it, and say to yourself, I want to be known as the best in the world online at this. I want to be known as the person that everyone comes to, that everyone trusts, that everyone respects my opinion of. When you start to put in your social proof and your integration, from an integration perspective, your client results and testimonials, your media mentions and features, your speaking engagements and awards, peer recognitions and collaborations, and audience growth and engagement metrics. All of these things start to back up the things that you're saying previously. So if you go hard on the contrarian takes and say, this is how you should be doing things because of X, this is why this doesn't work, this is really good content. People start to listen. When you have a take of some description, if you have an opinion, people listen to you. But then to get them to even trust you even further, they may listen, but they may not trust you, is start to integrate your social proof. And those two go hand in hand for you, for those two pyramid building levels of 1 and 2, where you're at the foundation, you start to build the credibility. And then the third rung, which we've already spoken about, is recognition. That's where we start to get more recognition from it. If we think about what platforms are important for what kind of personal brand that you're trying to build. Traditionally, LinkedIn, heavy on the business. I think it's gone right now as of filming this. I think LinkedIn is a shocking platform, purely based on how much AI content is on there. AI content from a written perspective was the first to go in terms of it was easy to replicate. People can pump it out. It's very hard to distinguish now purely based on the fact that there's no video and there's no like distinguishing factors. There's obviously people can read it and go, okay, that was written by AI, but lots of people that aren't cluey or are casual viewers of content, they're not going to be able to pick it. Whereas with AI video, again, as I'm filming this right now, it is still quite clear on what's AI video and what's not. So I think LinkedIn, it can be a good platform. I don't think it's the best one by all means, it's personal preference. But if you're going to look at, okay, where do I want to distribute my content when I'm building my personal brand? If you say to yourself, I want to be on LinkedIn because of the B2B networking opportunities and the relationship building, by all means, that makes sense. But you need to be thinking about not videos. You need to be thinking about long form copy. You need to be thinking about industry analysis, commentary, and posting your professional achievements and updates, because video was working on the platform for a little while. It doesn't anymore. So written copy and photos and carousels, these things work really well on LinkedIn. From Instagram and TikTok, by all means, I don't need to mention it, but I will. Short form video content, that should be your only focus. That is what gets pushed on those platforms. That is the number one format of content. So you need to be pushing majority of your attention, I would say 90% of your attention when you're starting out, to short form video content. Carousels, stories, they work, yes, and they have a place in the funnel and in the ecosystem, but for your highest leverage, for your top of funnel reach, just the easiest way to get attention, the easiest way to get live feedback essentially, because you can post a video you could film a video and post it in 5 minutes if you're just not doing any editing, and you could get live feedback then essentially. It is the highest leverage opportunity is short form video content. Now, there are some nuances between understanding, do you want to post native style content, so just you filming on your iPhone face to cam? Do you want to film edited content? That means you might need to learn how to edit, or you need to hire an editor. These are all the intricate details and complexities that you need to think about as well as you're deciding where you want to distribute your content. YouTube, I think YouTube is the best platform out of all of them, but it's also probably the hardest in terms of to get it right, the investment in time, probably money as well, all of these things. YouTube by all means is the hardest, but it also probably is the best platform because people spend a really long time with you. They watch your videos for a long time, 10, 15, 20 minutes. To get that much amount of watch time from someone on a short form video, you may have to serve them 300 videos, 300 15-second videos. It's a really long period of time compared to YouTube. You can do case studies and breakdowns, you can do consistent series and formats, you can do your long form thought leadership. It's an amazing platform. And if you have the means to learn YouTube, and if you have the means to put good content out on YouTube, I would suggest to everyone to do it. From a shorter copy perspective, if you want to play around with ideas first, Threads and X, two amazing platforms. There's a lot of smart people on both platforms. And it's a really good way to either do news and commentary. It's a good way to do quicker thoughts and observations. And you can do the thread-based posts, obviously. And what it also really is good for is you could test something in 5 seconds. Again, you could have a thought for maybe a video idea, but you go, I'm going to post that onto Threads and X first and see if anyone likes it, see if anyone interacts with it. If that angle, if that story, if that video idea that you have works kind of well on there, then that's enough of a signal that you should go and invest your time in making a short form video and a long form video of it. I've written a little bit of a framework here as well, like the repurposing framework that we always use. What is your core content? So create one substantial piece of video. So whether it's a video, whether it's an article, whether it's a podcast, whatever it is, then you extract the quotes from that. So you pull 5 to 10 key insights for your social post. You create visuals, so you can turn your frameworks into infographics. You can break it into threads, so you can convert your long form conversations or your long form written posts into shorter threads. You can make clips from it. So if you film a long form video, you can clip them down, which I personally try to avoid at all costs, and I tell people to do that. But what I'm saying is you can make clips of it is, say you've got one long form idea. So it's like one big high level idea that you've come up with. You can extract the shorter versions of that for your videos. You can extract and create short versions of those. You can break it out into things. one core idea is what I say to people is like, you should have one core idea. You should be able to turn that into no less than 5 to 6 to 10 new posts. And that means it's a video, it's a long form video, it's a carousel, it's a LinkedIn long form copy, it's a threads, multiple tweets, shorter tweets. And then you're looking at the comments of it and what people commented about it, how they like it or not, or maybe it's a part 1, 2, part 3, so there's multiple videos there. But if people are commenting on it, then you go back to the original idea and you make a new video on it. So your one video idea turns into this perpetual cycle of new ideas. It's a little bit of a mind map to wrap your head around, but as I said, you don't want to have, okay, I need to come up with an idea for LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Threads. You only need one core idea, and then you turn it into multiple different formats, multiple different styles of content. So it's one idea, multiple formats. That is the best way to move forward with your content, because then you only need to come up with 4 or 5 core ideas a month, maybe. If you're not really posting that often, you only need to come up with those 4 or 5 ideas for the month, and you have multiple options to distribute your content across multiple different platforms. If we talk about some systems, and I'll show you some of these systems at the end of this presentation because it's a bit easier to visualize it. From a content creation system, you need a content calendar, you need planning templates, idea generation, research processes, you need content creation workflows and editing processes, quality control and approval processes. From a distribution perspective, platform-specific posting schedules, cross-platform repurposing workflows, engagement and community management, performance tracking and analytics. And from a team structure, you need a content creator, which has to be you. You have to come up with the core ideas. You can't outsource all of it. You still need to have some input. Whether you outsource the editing, the scripting, all that kind of stuff, that's completely fine, but you still need to be involved in some way because you don't want people making content about you. You want the ideas coming from you, from your experience. So you need to be involved in the strategy, the ideation, and the thought leadership, but everything else can be outsourced by all means. You need editors to edit the content, create the visuals, the animations, you need VAs potentially, to scheduling, basic engagement, administrative tasks, strategist / manager for planning, analytics, growth, and optimization, and then potentially when to hire is an editor when quality is limiting your growth, a VA when the admin tasks take 10 or more hours a week, and a strategist when you need your time back or you max your growth capabilities. Now, what I will say is this, every single person or role that I've just spoken about, one person can do that. I'm doing that for myself. You don't need other people by all means. It's not something that is a necessity, but sometimes what I found is, and why I work with a lot of business owners, is they have either time or they have money, but they rarely have both. So if you have a business, you're running a business, successful business, you want to keep growing, then you likely have the money, but you don't have the time to learn all these things, the things that I do. The flip side of it is maybe you don't have a business yet, or maybe your business isn't going so well, so you don't have the money, which means you then have to give up your time to learn the things yourself. So it's either a time or a money sacrifice, right? For business owners, most of these people watching this is you're gonna have the time. For business owners, for most people watching this, you're going to have the money because you have a successful business, you want to share your knowledge with the world. So that means that you have to be prepared to invest the money to save your time. You have to be prepared to pay someone to come in, do the strategy, do the editing, do all the important things that are going to help your business grow and your personal brand grow. And you're okay paying them to do that because you protect your time. And as I said, the flip side of that is if someone doesn't have the money to invest in it, then they have to then invest their time into it and they have to learn it all themselves. So there's two options there. When I was running PubNaps, which was a successful brand at the time, it was one of Australia's fastest growing brands. We're doing $1 million a month. We had worldwide success. I did not understand the importance and the opportunity of having a personal brand. I was young, just didn't have that foresight at that time. Now looking back, do I wish I started posting and building my personal brand? Yes, by all means. It would have been incredibly valuable and it would have been much easier at that point in time. I would have had so many more years of content under the belt and I would have had a much bigger audience. But there is no time like the present. to start. So if you're watching this, you have a business, if you have something that you need to talk about, that you want to share with the world, you have some experience, you need to start a personal brand. When I decided that it was time to start doing it, I first started on the business side of things. I started posting TikToks on the business account. Then when I finished up at Partner Apps, I didn't go that hard at it. When I finished up, I said to myself, I am going to build a personal brand. Now, I made the mistake of trying to build a lifestyle brand. I wasn't giving any value. I was just trying to build it on entertainment. I was just trying to post fashion vlogs, lifestyle vlogs, travel vlogs. That's not really that valuable, and it's hard to build a business around it. You can do it. Lots of people have. But for me, I had all this experience and I had all this knowledge. And so building authority is much easier because I have something to talk about. I went into e-com content then, which I've already mentioned earlier in this video about how I went about it the wrong way, where I was trying to shove information down people's throats. Yes, I had the runs on the board, and yes, I had something of value to give, but the way I was delivering it was wrong. So then in 2025, sat down again, restarted again, went fresh at it, and got it right this time. And it's still a work in progress, and by all means, in 5 years' time, I'll look back on what I'm doing right now and say, gee, I could have been a lot better, or I am a lot better now. But that's okay. It's a learning process, and it's an evolution of, you start somewhere and you slowly just figure it out. It's not always going to be easy. When I started out, it sucked. I didn't like it. I gave up multiple times. I didn't get things right. I look back on my old videos and think, what was I thinking? And that's just the process. No one remembers that. Only I know that. So it's not a big deal by any stretch of the imagination. What I want to talk about now, in terms of why, how did I get to where I am, and how can you get to where you want to go, is you need a reverse engineering framework. So when I decided at the start of the year, I was like, okay, I have these 4 or 5 key people that I really respect in their given fields, and I really respect their voices. I want to reverse engineer what they do so that I can recreate it for my own self. So the first thing is you analyze their origin story. How did they start? What kind of content were they posting? Where did they all get started on? What platform were they focused on? Then you identify their core message. What do they consistently talk about that you can also talk about? What are the things that they consistently care about? Number 3 is study their content strategy. What formats and platforms do they use currently? What are their levers that they're pulling? Now, you can't just go and look at the biggest players, the people with millions of followers, because what they're doing and how they're executing is unachievable for you at this point in time. You need to look at people that are in your sphere. Maybe they're 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. Maybe you're at 2,000 followers and this person you're emulating has got 50,000 followers. They're much more achievable brackets to first tackle before you go and follow what someone like a Hormozy with millions and millions of followers is doing, because it just doesn't work. He's doing things that are completely different, that don't suit you and your expertise and level of competence. Number 4 is examine their monetization. So how do they make money? What are they doing with their personal brand? Are they selling courses? Are they selling offers? Do they have agencies that have spun out? Are they doing brand deals? All of these things are really important, because you don't want to just create an audience. You also want to monetize it as well. And then number 4 is extract the principles. So what can you adapt to your situation? So what are they doing that you can adapt? What are they doing that you can take from them and do it yourself? Now that we've gone over all the fundamentals and the basics, if we look at how do I actually implement, how do I actually put this into implementation? How do I implement my own personal brand strategy from right now, from this video? First week, define your 3 Ps. So what is your purpose, your perspective, and your proof? Write it out. Write it on a piece of paper. Write your core story. Choose your platform and create your basic visual identity. So for me, now I'm not telling you to do this, but for me, when I wanted to get serious about making more content, I didn't want to just have a white wall behind me. So I built the bookshelves. I consistently wear a black t-shirt. Maybe I'm lazy. Maybe it's my visual identity. It's a bit of both, to be honest. But just week 1, get your foundations. You're not going out and filming content. You're just setting the foundation. You can go and film content because that would be good. But if you're a bit of a slower mover, do these things. Tick them off. They will help you. Number 2, content planning. Define your 3 to 5 content pillars. Create a content calendar for the first month. Develop 10 content ideas and set up your creation workflow. So set up when you're going to post, set up when you're going to film, have your scripts written, get all your stuff ready to roll so you can actually create some content. Week 3, create and publish your first 5 pieces of content. Engage with your target audience, start building relationships with your peers, and gather feedback and iterate. Now, if you do this all in week 1, if you do this all in the first week, that's amazing, because the quicker you do these things, the quicker that you post your first video, the quicker you can get feedback on it and you can get better. Now, if you take 3 weeks to do it, so be it, but the faster you move, the faster you get better. So I've set it out like this because I don't tell people, okay, you have to go and do all of this in the first week, because it's overwhelming. You've got a business to run. You're still learning at the same time. So it can be done over multiple periods of weeks. Like, this is a month-long plan here, and you should have 5 to maybe 10 videos, and that's plenty to get started. Number 4 is analyze performance of your initial content. Start to refine your messaging based on the responses that you get. So what are people saying about it? Do they like it? Do they comment on it? Plan your next month of content and set up your basic systems and processes. So setting up a basic Notion board like the one I'm going to show you in a minute. If we think about long-term implementation, 90 days, 12 months. In 90 days, I would love for you to have posted 50 pieces of valuable content. Hopefully you've generated 1,000 followers by then. You've generated 10 meaningful business conversations. You started to establish your thought leadership on 1 to 2 key topics, and maybe you've created your first ever lead magnet or low ticket offer. Now, that last one, not very important for everyone, so just don't worry about it if it doesn't relate to you. But the main things that I always think about people, and like I want people to think about, is what are the inputs? Your input should be just how much videos you're posting. Now, you don't need to post every single day. Every second day, every third day is great, but as long as you pick a cadence and you stick to it, rain, hail, or shine, and you get your content out, you publish your content, you will be in a good position no matter what. 12 months. Now, most people, you will get online and you'll see someone say, oh, I grew 1 million followers in 12 months, or I grew hundreds of thousands of followers in 12 months. They are the edge cases. There are very few people that do that. What I like to tell people is think about this in 5 years. Now, it sounds ridiculous when I first say it, but what you're building is a personal brand. You're never going to change. You are you as a person. I am me. I'm never going to change my name. I'm going to be myself. And so I'm okay with me building a massive personal brand for the next 50 years, not just the next 5 years, but I'm going to build it over a very long period of time. It's never going to change. And so don't get caught up in this whole, oh, I need to get 50,000 followers in a year. I need to get 100,000 followers, because it will come. It may take you longer than this one edge case that you've seen online, but that's okay, because 99% of your competition will give up at some stage because they're chasing the wrong things. They're chasing vanity metrics. So focus on your long-term goals. Focus on 12, 5 years, however long it needs to be. 12 months, 5 years, whatever it is. Don't think about this in short time frames. 12 months is an incredible amount of time, and you will probably eclipse 10,000 people. You will probably eclipse $10,000 in revenue. If for the first 6 months you say, I don't care about that whatsoever, I'm just going to focus on the fundamentals and getting it right. I said I was going to mention the resources, and I'm going to give you a couple of them very quickly to use as well. So the main thing that I'm going to give you as a free resource, which will be incredibly valuable and something that I use every single day, is a content calendar. Now, I use it not only to plan, but to iterate, to house all my ideas, and the way that this board is set up will help you do exactly that. So the things that I use consistently are the status hub. So it's in a Kanban style. It's like, where's my idea at? Does it need writing? Does it need scripting? Does it need editing? Am I ready to edit? Now, I use that because I do all my own content myself, and it's really important for that perspective. I tag all of my videos with the type of the video that it's going to be, what pillar it's going to be, where I'm going to film it, where's the location of the raw files. All of these things are really important when I want to film it, when I want to publish it, purely based on the fact that organization is a superpower of creative people and content creators. And the bigger your personal brand grows, the more moving parts you have, the more video ideas you have, the business you still have to run as well. And so it's really important to be super, super organized. When I come up with an idea, and the way I structure it is, what's the hook that I want to have? What are the visuals, and what's the takeaway and the goal? I write that out for every single video. You'll see it in your template as well. I've given you a shot list inside of there as well. This is for organization. What are the key shots that I want to get? What's the title? What's the angle? What's the visual? And what's the text? Like, what's the actual script that I'm saying? The only other two things that I use are CapCut on my desktop and edits on my phone, or CapCut on my phone as well. And that is honestly it. That is everything that you need to get started. This is all about just setting the foundations and the fundamentals. In separate videos, we can go through all of these in much more detail about how I actually script things, how I look for ideas, how we film, edit. Lots of this I've already covered, but I will create new videos in the future that will help you navigate that as well. But if you have any questions, send me a message. If you want me and my team to actually run your personal brand for you, we have multiple different offers where we can come in and do all of the scripting and editing for you. All you need to do is film and post the videos. You send us back the raw files, we edit them for you, we post them for you. Very, very simple. We can also just spend time with you where we can actually set the strategy and you go away and execute on it. So there's two variations of offers that we have where it's very much done for you. We do all the heavy lifting and you do it, or we can teach you how to become a creator and we can teach you how to create your personal brand. We can give you the structure, the frameworks, the formats, all the hooks. You go away and execute on it. We do all the heavy lifting as well still, and you just need to rock up, film your videos and post them. So thanks for watching.